Hey there, everyone. That sexy nerd is back again. And unfortunately, we're here with the Hobbit movies. Apparently, decided to do all these movies again in one go. I don't understand why. Just to fit it all into frickin' in Lord of the Rings month. Just do it as a marathon. You should have just done all the movies. I don't understand. All the movies deserve a full analysis. But whatever. I guess he's gonna say they're all the same. They're all the same. Blah 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 blah. Ugh. Doug, you really need to go back on some of these movies and actually give them a full review. Like the Twilight movies. Again, those movies, as you have seen, are stupid enough to make their own. The Twilight, Shrek, all these movies, like honestly, I still don't even know why he decided to do Shrek so soon. Given that Shrek 5 is coming out soon and he could do all the damn movies for that. Well, what are you going to do? I'm not the content creator, so what are you going to do? But, I am happy to see the Hobbit movies on here. I am. It's really weird. They have a parallel history to the Star Wars sequels and no more movies that, they started off really good, but, over time, they got progressively worse. Yeah. But to be fair, I did stick with the Hobbit movies a little bit closer than that because, Smaug, the Desolation of Smaug was actually pretty damn good. It's just the Battle of the Five Armies kind of ruins the whole thing. But yeah, again, these movies never really even needed to happen. I think Doug is actually trying to say something now that I think about it. He's trying to say something that, it all could have been done in one movie. And he's right. He's absolutely right. You could have done all of this in one movie. One really long movie, too. You could have made it a 3-hour movie. There's nothing stopping you of making it a 3-hour movie. But what are you going to do? You can't blame Rankin Bass for doing it into an hour-and-a-half movie, by the way. Hour and a half. But again, I like these movies. I like Five Armies, but it's my least favorite of the Hobbit movies. I have to admit, probably the worst Lord of the Rings movie we've seen. But I've not seen the Rohirrim movie, which I still actually have to watch. I might actually watch that for the channel. I'll see if I can get it on HBO Plus HBO Max or something. Maybe I can get it on the channel. Maybe I can get it on here. I'll see what I can do. Because I know a couple of subscribers have actually asked me to watch that movie because I'm actually I am curious because I meant to see that in the movie theaters, but I didn't get to. But honestly, I think it should have been told in live action because the story that they are it's basically the story of the Rohirrim. I think they could have told that in a movie. But whatever. I feel like it would have gotten more seats in. Or made at least a 3D movie or some shit like that. But whatever. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Let's see what kind of damage he does on this. And I think it's still going to be funny, though. I think it's still going to be good. So please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content. And subscribe if you think I deserve it. And remember to sign up for my Patreon for all my latest reactions to all my latest videos. And let's do this thing, y'all. The Hobbit month now. Sounds about right.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. Where now is the source that had Strider? When did these films start blowing? Where is the Helm's Deep that once worked? With teary eyes.
Well, actually.
Where is the land once inspiring, with great effects glowing? Where is the charm and the logic and the budget going?
Fuck.
They have passed like piss in the toilet, like a fart in the men's room. These films have gone down like a pest drawn to greedy lights of Mount Doom. Who shall gather the smoke of past dead scripts burning? Or behold the de-aged Legolas returning?
Yeah, what the hell?
How did it come to this? Anyway, this is the Hobbit movies.
Yeah. Again, why?
After one of the greatest cinematic trilogies of all time won over just about everybody on planet Earth, Warner Bros. Decided that they liked the money and IP was pulling in and wanted more. So they decided to do what honestly wasn't a bad idea, a prequel to the Lord of the Rings movies because, well, one already existed, The Hobbit.
Yeah.
The original setup was to have Guillermo del Toro direct, which is honestly another good idea. The Hobbit is structurally a different type of book compared to Lord of the Rings.
Is.
Tolkien wrote it more for kids and didn't plan to write his incredibly detailed future magnum opus in this world. So the idea of bringing in a director who specializes in the dark and strange, but also enchanting and whimsical, seemed to make sense. The original thought was to tell it in 2 movies, despite the book being very, very short. But a lot does happen, and books are a different art form compared to movies, so this seemed to make sense enough. Del Toro partook in one of his favorite pastimes, though, abandoning a project.
Yeah.
With production already in pretty deep, they turned to the guy who made it work the first time, Peter Jackson.
Really?
Right? Yeah, I mean, these are very different types of stories, but Jackson proved to be very versatile. Again, this director would end up winning a Best Picture Oscar.
No.
Who's the dirty person who did the great big stinky poo that's blocking up the toilet?
So it seemed like it would work. But not only was Jackson having a hard time keeping
Somebody told me I need to see that. A subscriber just said I need to see that movie. I'm starting to think I do.
up with what Del Toro started and already being told he wouldn't have the same time and resources as the original trilogy. But some jackass decided, hey, we can make money or we can make
Money.
So they decided to make it 3 movies, which nobody understood. But again, many had faith in the project, and heck, it'll be nice to return to Middle-earth after being away for almost 10 years. This leads to part 1 of this 600-minute trilogy based on a 300-page book, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
I like this movie.
So, okay, as much as I'm making fun of how much this trilogy was bad and unnecessary and a greedy corporate cash-in, I'll be honest, I love the hell out of this first one.
Thank you!
As much as Return of the King? No.
Yeah.
As much as
No.
Two Towers?
No.
But hot take, I actually like this film more than Fellowship.
Really?
Even though I totally acknowledge Fellowship is probably a better made movie. Again, it's hard to get angry at the problems of Fellowship because, like I said, it was a proof of concept film. It needed to get as many people on board for this trilogy as diligently as possible.
Okay, but that's still bullshit. Like, it's like, as much as I defend these movies, none of them compare to the original. None of them do. I do admit, though, the first 2 are actually very good, you know? I disagree with the whole Fellowship thing, though, because at the end of the day, Peter Jackson was still able to make a much better movie. And it wasn't so stupid. Like, you know, there are literally stupid scenes in The Hobbit one. Like, you know, I mean, as soon as you see that guy with a testicle chin, you want somebody to punch it, right? So somebody does. It's just, are we in Family Guy now?
As the films went on, though, audiences became more and more accepting that more time was going to be needed to make these stories as epic as they need to be. So when The Hobbit came around, there was less stress to prove itself worthy so it could take its time, which is perfect for what a story like The Hobbit needs.
Slice the wine on every door, dump across the boiling bowl, pound them up with a thumping bowl.
It's more laid back, it moves slower, it allows you to feel like you can breathe in this world and not squeeze in as much information as possible. You know how they cut Tom Bombadil out because they said he just wouldn't fit in the original trilogy? He would totally fit in this film.
He would.
It's more relaxed and allows you to move at a slower pace.
I'm surprised they
Some may
didn't
say,
put him in there.
Maybe it does a little too much of that. The story centers around Bilbo, now played by Morgan Freeman, who's randomly approached by Gandalf saying he could use him to help a dwarf named Thorin, played by Richard
Weird in the
Armitage,
books,
and
too.
his team of 12 other dwarves to get back their mountain of gold, which was stolen from them by a dragon named Smaug.
Smaug.
Can I help you?
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure. It'll be very good for you. Most amusing for me.
And while yes, there's certainly other things that happen in the story, that's the main gist of it, and for the most part, it doesn't lose track of that. The film has to mix the complicated world building of Lord of the Rings with the simple world building of The Hobbit, despite them both taking place in Middle-earth. And in my opinion, it mixes a lot better than it has any right to. I complained over and over how the editing felt too rushed in Fellowship, so it was hard to feel like you were really in this world with these characters.
I see what you're
A world
saying.
and characters people praised for years felt very real in the books. And again, I get it, you have to travel from place to place and introduce all these characters while not having the same amount of time you usually would have in a book. This film goes the opposite direction though. When you go somewhere, you're there for a while, and it lets you sink in as much atmosphere as possible. You don't catch the tail end of a song, you get to hear the whole song.
The winds were moaning in the night.
You don't come back and forth between a battle of wits with Gollum and Bilbo and something else. You're allowed to see the entire battle of wits.
What have I got in
It was
my
good.
pocket?
Wrong. Guess again.
Now granted, a lot of your enjoyment is gonna rely on how much patience you have for this. I love Middle-earth, I love these characters, and so much of what people like about Tolkien's writing is that it engulfs you in the world he creates. And that's what I get out of this one. Even the additional stuff added to the story works okay for me. I don't mind giving the dwarves a big bad orc chasing them down. I mean, most of the movies have a big bad orc in them.
Yeah,
The conversation between the elves and wizards is pretty cool to see, and we get a better idea what Saruman was like before he turned evil, plus why he was so trustworthy. And I like Bilbo has to choose to go on his adventure. He goes back and forth on it, and at first he turns it down, but then decides maybe something like this would be good for him. It's such a simple thing, but I really think it goes a long way and adds a lot to his character.
Yes.
Stop, I'm already late. Late for what?
I'm going on an adventure. I love
Not
this
everything
movie.
works. You probably noticed a lot of the CG looks very rushed.
Yeah.
Especially the main orc and the de-aging effects. Oh, don't worry, they get even better. There's an additional climax tagged on at the end I didn't think was needed. I mean, man,
whatever.
ending after Gollum gives the best scene in the movie would have been perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this guy's about.
Radagast. He's my spirit animal.
I just don't know what this guy is about.
I like
But
Radagast.
honestly, and I know I'm in a minority here, this is the Fellowship of the Ring I always wanted. It had more patience, more of a gentle charm, but it also didn't shy away from having a dangerous edge as well.
I can see what he's saying. The more he talks about it, I can see what he's saying. He wanted Fellowship to really capture the life and feeling that it had in the books. And he might be slightly right about that because, again, it feels really short, the time that you spend in Hobbiton. But you spend like 50 years in the books, so I see what he's talking about. I see kind of what he's talking about, kind of.
It'll go weird and dark in a way that I feel speaks to the
balls.
kid audience it was originally written for, but also connects with adults who are used to the original trilogy.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
yeah.
I don't care what anyone says, I love this flick. It's fun, it's creative, and it's a smaller story without feeling like you've been
Love this
cheated out of
movie.
something bigger. Overall, it looks like this series was off to a good start. Yeah, don't get used to that.
Shut up, I like Smaug. I like the Desolation of Smaug.
Part 2, The Desolation of Smaug, is where things go downhill fast. And again, I think a lot of it comes down to these had to be 3 movies. There just isn't enough material for 3, so they made a ton of shit up that clearly doesn't belong. So on paper, not a ton really needs to happen. Our heroes have to battle a giant spider, they escape some elves, they make it to a town just outside the mountain, and then they go in the mountain to defeat the dragon. That sounds totally doable for an 1.5-hour movie. Too bad it's over 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while I feel like the majority
I like
of
this
fans
movie, though.
probably look at Peter Jackson directing these like,
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
this is the one thing I can't excuse, the length of these movies. What advantage is there to have these films over 2.5 hours?
Because you have to match because they were trying to match the same success as Lord of the Rings. And the studios, and I know you're saying it's not your fault, that maybe Peter Jackson himself thinks that if a movie is like 2.5 hours long, it automatically equals quality. And that is just not plain not true.
Shorter film would get more screenings in theaters, hence more money, so I don't follow it. But okay, like the other trilogy, they have to squeeze in a lot. I mean, just so much damn material, so we'll give them the extra time. Oh wait, no they don't.
No.
I could read the entire book in the amount of time it takes me to watch this movie, which is only part 2 of said book. Why? So they can
But to be fair, what he's having, the problems that he's having with this right now, see, I like this personally. Again, I think everything is utilized well. I never even noticed the whole de-aging effects with Orlando Bloom, by the way. It never bothered me. Never did. So, the only thing that bothers me about him is what happens in the third film. And don't worry, I'm sure we'll get there. He's kind of been building up to it. But man, all the problems that he's been having with this second part is the problems that I have with the third part. Ugh.
Add it out for some mysterious reason. We need Freckles the elf to have her own story.
Oh, come on.
Needs to journey with Tom Bombadouche to see that Sauron is back. Yeah, remember in the first film when he was so puzzled by the ring, so he went to do research and saw Mount Doom bubbling and eventually put together that Sauron's not dead? Well, maybe you could skip all that and just remember back to the fact that he saw Sauron's not dead!
Yeah.
That main orc from before just vanishes, so a lot of tension with him is gone. We spent a lot of time in this town getting to know these instantly forgettable people we're apparently supposed to care about. Hey, do girls still like Legolas? Well, let's slap some Uncanny Valley makeup on him to change their minds on that. You see, he's upset because Freckles is in love with one of the dwarves. Now, you might think that's incredibly unnecessary and stupid, and you'd be correct, but I have to give it a little bit of credit because that at least makes this dwarf somewhat stand out.
Okay.
As bafflingly, this film decides not to develop these 13 characters who are constantly on screen and instead creates new ones out of thin air.
That's true.
These poor actors who had to spend hours and hours in makeup chairs are basically mute throughout the entire trilogy. There's only 3 who are developed. Thorin, because he's the lead dwarf, Baleen, so we can know who Gimli was headbutting,
Yes.
and Freckles' boyfriend, who I know has a name, but that is literally the only thing that sets him apart from the others.
I forgot his name,
Everyone
honestly.
else is furniture. And because they do so little, I start to notice more and more how distracting their makeup is. They look less like dwarves and more like inside-out Oompa Loompas. And even all this, I could forgive if it wasn't maliciously boring.
It is not
Remember the
boring.
spider I brought up earlier? I completely forgot that was a plot point in this until I rewatched it.
Isn't that a you problem?
The scariest spider in cinematic history, I forgot even did another one in these movies. Almost nobody does or says anything.
It sounds like a you problem, doesn't it? Like, I remember the spider scene when they're all stuck in the spider thing and they have to get out. It was kind of gross, actually.
Interest. All these great actors are giving their all for lines that you'll forget right after hearing them. And maybe the most insulting, this film is ugly. Every once in a while there's a pretty image, but going from the beautiful landscapes of the original trilogy and even the previous film to most of the shots looking like the lens was cleaned with fish guts is just not acceptable.
That's bullshit.
How do we go from the angelic majesty of these vibrant mountains to a helmet cam from a Whitewater YouTube channel? It's actually pretty hard to comprehend. Now with that said, I do think there's 2 scenes that worked very well, and big surprise, they're very similar to the book.
Oh, really?
One is, despite some of the camera work, the barrel
I love this scene.
I think it's fun and goofy and has a lot of creative energy. Some people say this looks too silly. What is this, a kid's story?
Oh, wow.
Yes. Number 2 is the scene from Smog. Now, I'll be honest, Smog
my favorite
isn't
scene.
nearly as good as what they were building up. Like,
Yeah, okay. Before he pisses on it, because I know he's going to be like all, like, that's my favorite scene in the movie. It's the reason why it's probably my favorite Hobbit movie, honestly. I don't care what he says. Like, it's so boring and so this. No, I like this damn movie. And it's mainly because of Smaug. And I know that's not a good reason to like a movie, but damn it, he's just so good in this movie.
they were promoting this showing Benedict Cumberbatch in a motion capture suit. Like, this is going to be the next Gollum. First off, it never looks like he's there. He looks like that Sean Connery dragon out of Scar-type brother. Second, Gollum looks enough like a human that you can capture a human performance with an actor. What the hell is dressing up Doctor Strange like a robo-dolphin gonna do? Ooh, that's so how Cumberbatch would move his wing. This doesn't make sense. Despite that, these 2 give really good performances here.
Yes.
Really capturing the somewhat playful, yet still
He's
very
good
intimidating
in every
nature
scene
of
he's
the
in.
scene.
I merely wanted to gaze upon
He's
your
good in
eyes.
every scene he's in.
Your flattery will keep you alive. No, indeed.
Again, for all the film's faults, everybody is clearly giving their all in this. But sadly, it's not enough.
What?
Because it's boring, ugly, pointlessly long, and straight up doesn't capture the source material most of the time. It's a huge step down from its previous installment. So, is the final film any better?
No.
No.
Yeah, I know, right? Honestly, this is probably like, it's like finally we agree on something. Even though I kind of agree with them on Smaug, but at the same time, screw you, I love that movie.
This one's just about as bad as the last one, but I guess I can give it credit. Sometimes it's so bad, it is kind of fascinating. I'll be honest,
Oh,
the last one
really?
had such a bad taste in my mouth, I didn't even bother to see this one in theaters.
Yeah,
A
me
Middle-earth
too.
movie on the big screen, and it just didn't seem worth it to me.
For me, it just felt like it was in the theaters and out of the theaters quicker than I could actually see it. I think I was like busy around that time too, so I kind of didn't have time to go to the theater. And yeah, I can never really remember why. I couldn't be bothered to see it because I had a lot going on in my life. And even though I love the other movie, I think it's also because I didn't see the other one in theaters as well. So I was like, whatever. It doesn't really matter if I don't see this in theaters. So, yeah, I finally, it was like one of the first, well, I think it was in college at the time. So I got to watch it at college without, I think that was the reason why, because I didn't feel like paying for a movie. But, you know, whatever the reason.
These films were feeling like homework. I could not find why any of this was supposed to be interesting. As far as I was concerned, the film seemed done. The dragon was out, they got the gold, what else was left? Well, in the book, Smaug burns up the town that helped the dwarves, and some of the dwarves feel bad about it. However, Thorin comes down with dragon sickness, which corrupts his mind with greed and paranoia. This causes him to turn his back on the villagers, dismiss an army of elves who literally just want a necklace that I think they explained in a throwaway sentence why it's worth going to war for, and also prepare for a battle with the big bad orc from the first film. Wasn't it nice of them to write him back into the story? And if you're like, wait, that's only 4 armies, well, there's dune worms. Oh, and these bats, as well as some eagles. Yeah, they really don't care who fills that number 5 slot. Now, this film is clearly bad, but there were some things I was digging. I didn't think I'd get into the dragon sickness story, but this
that was
actor
done really
played it
well.
so well, I was kind of on board.
I have been blind. Now I begin to see. One thinness.
This was not in the books either, I think.
I believed how it took him over, and I legit felt bad for this one guy who put his life on the line for him. Smaug goes from a mini-boss in Skyrim to a pretty intimidating presence early on. I'm actually almost legit scared of this thing.
Is that your child? He will
Film series called The Hobbit, focusing very little on the Hobbit. He's almost always the best character in every scene he's in.
Yes, every movie.
For all the needless subplots these movies have, I always feel like I know what this guy is about. It's always easy to identify with him, and they keep him interesting.
I picked it in Beorn's garden. One day it'll grow, and every time I look at it, I'll remember how lucky I am that I made it home.
But yes, we still have
like
to wrap
that.
up these pointless subplots, like Gandalf and his crew looking like Hogwarts teachers fighting in a Power Rangers
I like
episode.
that scene though.
What's his name finishing up their lame romance.
Why does it hurt so much?
because it was real.
You knew him for a day!
No.
Easily the most obnoxious comic relief in Middle Earth with the king's minion named Alfred.
Yes. Annoying worm tongue, as I
This guy makes me want to give Gimli the Mark Twain Award, he's so awful.
call him.
He adds nothing, isn't funny, and if you just typed in unpleasant in a 3D printer, this is what it would create.
We don't want no tramps, beggars, nor vagabonds.
Show your father some respect.
Coward. Coward. Not every man's brave enough to wear a corset.
He's like Jack Sparrow, slow as sperm, impregnated a mud puddle.
Was he the guy in Game of Thrones that like talks way too much and then the mountain smashes his head in? Because that'd be really funny if that's the same actor. It sounds like him.
The army of dwarves is led by the Polar Express.
Yeah.
Hear that, lads?
I didn't understand
We're
that.
on! Let's give these bastards a good hammering!
I know the shoot was crazy, but could you really not just throw a guy in makeup for this? Hell, you could take one of these forgettable dwarves, exactly how they
Polar
look, slap a
Express.
helmet on them, and nobody would tell the difference. It's bad, but I will admit I was getting through it a little easier than the last one. By the time I got to the Battle of the Five Armies, I remember thinking, all right, I can tolerate another 20 minutes of this or so. That
Yeah,
can't
what?
That
What?
can't be real. We're only halfway through, and the rest of the movie is just the battle?
Overstayed its welcome.
Okay, yeah, Middle-earth battles are famously long, but they have the courtesy of making us care. What am I supposed to be invested in here? That pretty princess necklace? The town of which one guy I sorta care about? The dwarves who, as far as I'm concerned, already completed their mission? No. I'm clearly supposed to care about the bats. Seriously, who's slot 5? The only thing that keeps me from hating this film as much as the last one is occasionally the fight is so crazy it does get a giggle.
Yeah.
Like I legit love this moment.
Oh.
Oh, buddy. Nicholas has to have another impossible moment, which at first I thought this was it.
Oh no, not this. Oh, not this scene.
Okay, that's adequately stupid. I'm okay with that. But then, like the basis of this whole trilogy, they got too greedy. To where I couldn't believe what I was watching half the time.
Boing, 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 boing.
Bet you didn't know the elves were part Mario, brother.
Oh, that's
My
hilarious.
family knows to duck in the exact mathematically correct position. Oh, that's lucky.
Oh my god. Oh.
Maybe the dumbest, which, as you've noticed, is quite impressive at this point, is the final battle with the main orc. After somehow playing a sillier version of Don't Break the Ice, the orc falls into freezing water.
Oh yeah, this
He
scene.
has to make sure he's actually dead.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, I was so weirded out by this. Like, what?
I don't think he can hurt you anymore, buddy.
Like, oh, I'm
Had to be
dead.
quite the dedication to a performance to fake out for that long.
Seriously. I'm like, what was this guy? What the hell?
Nuh-uh.
No.
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 Christ, this is stupid. For as crazy as the crazy scenes were before, they had a
That
loose
was
but
funny.
still consistent line of reasoning. Now, every fight is Legolas taking down an Oliphant. If science didn't exist. Even for a story that was originally supposed to be for kids, this is jumping whatever a Middle-earth shark is. These last two movies are just so bad.
Jesus.
Bilbo-
That whole scene. I remember that. I was like, no. Nah. See, that's the scene where I was like, nah. No. Nah. No. Yeah, because, oh my god, that scene is just so funny. I mean, like, it looks so weird. Oh, I was like, is this still the same Legolas? And then he pulls shit like that, and I'm like, okay, that's still that was worse than freaking Fuhrer Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist doing that. And like, it's just a matter of footwork. I'm like, shut up, Bradley, shut up. That was Jesus couldn't do that, man. Jesus.
Gandalf just sit like they're so done with this shit. That should have been the box set for the trilogy.
Yep.
Because nothing sums it up better than that. So yeah, you got an unexpected good start, the desolation of a franchise, and the battle of 5 hours. This just didn't work. I am happy we got that first film, though. Like I said, this was the start I wish Lord of the Rings had, but what it amounts to just didn't feel justified. Can I say this is one of the worst trilogies ever? No, when you've seen as many flicks as I have, you know this doesn't offend nearly as bad.
No,
But
nowhere
it is
near.
very disappointing.
I'm
after
surprised
such
you
an
didn't go after
impressive
that scene.
accomplishment with the first trilogy. Had they kept it to 2 movies and maybe spent their time making the actual main characters instead of making up new ones, maybe there would have been something. It's crazy to think this is the most expensive trilogy ever made, yet the majority of it looks terrible. Now, my guess is this is a Justice League or Solo scenario where, because a director left and so much had to be redone, the cost went up. Almost like shooting an entirely new movie. So on some level, I can understand some of these cut corners. It's the fact that they never kept a strong focus on the original narrative or even the new narrative they constructed. Peter Jackson admitted through a lot of the trilogy he was just winging it. And
Really?
yeah, I guess I wouldn't want
That
to
makes
be in
way
his
too much
shoes trying
sense.
to pick up the pieces of this broken production, while also trying to make the studio happy and stay true to what made the original film so great.
Wow.
But in a series where the most unlikely of characters end up walking tall, this series sadly ends coming up short. And that's it. That's finally the end of Lord of the Rings month. I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and I'm done.
Yeah, you rushed through this, man. I mean, again, so what I kind of said was true. He just rushed through this just to get it over with because he didn't want to do all 3 of the movies, which is bullshit, man. It's so much material you could have used, but I don't know. I guess it does get redundant, I guess, but still, I feel like he could have stretched it out for at least a good another videos. But ironically, he made the opposite mistake. He made way too few videos regarding the subject. So that was actually that was a little bit more respectful than I thought it was going to be. I mean, it was kind of about the same of what I thought, except for Desolation of Smaug. I actually thought it was a good movie, but I guess that's why other people didn't. I don't know. I had never had a problem with it. I love the movie. But Battle of Five Armies. Yeah, that movie is a train wreck. It's a mess. It's just a mess. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Hobbit movies? Let me know in the comments below. And please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content. And subscribe if you think that's it. And remember, sign up for my Patreon for all my latest reactions to all my latest videos. And I'll see y'all in the next episode.